6 years into our marriage, my wife, who had spent our entire time together as a devout, almost monastic woman, suddenly slapped me across the face. She was convinced I had hired someone to cause the car accident that had just injured the love of her life and his son. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I was done being patient. I was ready to burn it all to the ground and take everyone down with me. Later, she would desperately try to fix things, but it was far too late for that. Slap! I was trying to soothe my frayed nerves with my violin when Isabella stormed in. She grabbed my shoulder from behind, spun me around, and slapped me hard across the face. My left ear rang, and a searing pain spread across my cheek. The rage I'd been suppressing for over 20 years finally boiled over. As soon as I steadied myself, I stared at her with murder in my eyes. That car crash this morning with Ethan and Cody. Was that you? Did you hire someone? Didn't I warn you not to touch them? Ethan. He was the apple of her eye, the one that got away. And Cody was his son. Any time the slightest thing happened to them, if they so much as stubbed a toe, it was my fault. She'd leap to the conclusion that I was behind it without a second thought. Staring at her furious, accusatory face, I clenched my jaw. Without a word, I swung the violin in my hand straight at her head. I wasn't holding back. I meant to crack her skull open. Thud. Unfortunately, I was holding the instrument in my left hand, so the blow wasn't strong enough to actually kill her. Leo Dalton, are you insane? Staggering back 2 steps from the unexpected counterattack, Isabella steadied herself. Her head was spinning, but shock quickly turned back to rage as she shrieked at me. I shot back. In my entire life, no one has ever laid a hand on me. You touch me again, I dare you. I will end you, you piece of trash. Isabella stared at me in stunned disbelief. The meek, patient husband who always swallowed his pride and compromised for peace was actually baring his fangs? I told you Ethan would never threaten your position as Mr. Dalton, didn't I? So why did you have to go after them? Ha! I let out a bitter, scornful laugh. Isabella, do you think you're the only woman in the world? Some kind of priceless trophy? You think this Mr. Dalton title is something special? You really think I give a damn about it? My sharp ridicule left her speechless. For a moment, she couldn't find a single word in rebuttal. Ethan may treasure a piece of garbage like you, but I sure don't. He and his son are nothing but ants to me, not even worth my time. If I really wanted them dead, it would have been a single, fatal blow. I never would have let them prance around in front of me, showing off time and time again. Do you understand? If you understand, then get out. This is my house, and you are not welcome here. Isabella glared at me. Her eyes filled with shock as she ground out each word. Don't you dare play innocent with me. Others might not know you, but I do. You'll endure anything for money and power, and you're capable of anything. I told you, Ethan and Cody are my line in the sand. Don't push your luck. Me? Playing innocent? I'm not the one who's been putting on an act. All day with your prayer beads and vegetarian meals. Acting so profound and devoted, but you're just a hypocrite to the core. Your mother had to share her husband with his mistress, even letting his illegitimate kids into the house. Is that the life you want too? Who do you think you are? You're more full of crap than a landfill. I knew exactly where to twist the knife. Just as I expected, Isabella's face flushed with shame and anger. She was utterly silenced, which meant she still had some sense of decency, some awareness that her actions were disgraceful. You say I'm ruthless for personal gain? Do you think I don't know what you and Ethan have been up to? All your dirty little secrets? You think you're so much nobler than me? You pretend to be some kind of saint all day, but even God would be disgusted by a person like you. You want a divorce? She blurted out, thinking it was a threat. I scoffed. Yes, the sooner the better. Your precious Ethan is clearly getting impatient, always pulling these little stunts to frame me. If he's not tired of it, I'm tired for him. I will get to the bottom of this. And if it really was you, I won't let you get away with it. After spitting out her angry warning, Isabella stormed out, visibly furious. The housekeeper, who had been standing nearby with a tray of tea, didn't dare say a word. She just set the tea down and quickly left the living room. I looked down at the broken violin in my hand. It was just like my life, shattered and in pieces. It was time for a major overhaul. Before our arranged marriage, I knew Isabella had a great love, her white moonlight, but he was in a vegetative state, having been in a coma for over 2 years. Ever since his car accident, she had become a devout vegetarian, prayer beads always in hand, praying for his recovery. She had even remained celibate for him. But as the eldest daughter of the Reed family, she couldn't spend her life waiting for a man who was practically dead. Not unless she was willing to give up her inheritance and all the resources her family provided. Even if she wanted to, her family, especially her mother, would never allow it. Her mother would sooner have the man killed than let her daughter throw away the family fortune. So, due to a variety of pressures, she chose a marriage alliance with the Dalton family. The reason was laughable. She said my eyes reminded her of her one true love, Ethan, and I had my own reasons for being unable to refuse. I was the eldest grandson of the Dalton family, but I was nothing more than a pawn, a tool for a strategic marriage to expand the family's power. I was an afterthought, a stepping stone, never truly valued. I had a full brother and sister, while the rest of the grandchildren were my father's illegitimate children or my uncles. 5 years ago, my mother was in a car accident that left her in a coma. Less than 6 months later, my father's young male lover swaggered into our home and became the new master of the main house. If I refused the marriage, life would become unbearable for my siblings, and even my mother's medical care wouldn't be guaranteed. I had no choice but to swallow my pride and agree. Besides, Isabella wasn't a bad match in any other respect. Aside from her heart belonging to someone else, there was nothing I couldn't accept. What I never expected, however, was that 3 years into our marriage, Ethan woke up. His recovery instantly shattered the polite, distant peace of our marriage, turning it into a 3-person melodrama. Things got worse when she found out she couldn't have children, right as Ethan reappeared with Cody, the son he'd had with his ex-girlfriend, Sharon. Isabella poured all her guilt and maternal affection onto that boy. Ethan and Cody started showing up at all sorts of Reed family functions, with Ethan being introduced as MS, Reed's companion. He provoked me time and again, flaunting their relationship in my face, until I became a laughingstock with no dignity left, forced to endure it all. It's not that I didn't think about divorce. The timing just wasn't right. I wasn't going to let the people who humiliated me off that easily. Ring, ring, ring. The sudden ringing of my phone pulled me from my dark thoughts. I turned and picked it up. It was the caregiver from the hospital. I answered without hesitation. Hello, Lisa? What's wrong? Leo, it's your mother. Something's happened. You need to get to the hospital quickly. The words struck me like lightning. A wave of panic washed over me. I hung up, frantically gathered my things, and raced out the door, speeding toward the hospital. When I arrived, the light outside the emergency room was still on. The doctors were still working on her. Lisa just told me that my mother's breathing had suddenly stopped, and that my father's new lover had been there earlier, saying some awful things. I knew he had to be involved. Suddenly, the light above the ER door went out. A doctor emerged, pulling off his mask. We did everything we could. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's time to make the arrangements. My mind went blank. The world seemed to dissolve, and my body went limp like a snapped string. I staggered, about to collapse, but Lisa and the doctor caught me just in time, preventing me from hitting the floor. A single thought echoed in my head. My mother is gone. Lisa helped me into a chair, her voice gentle. You have to stay strong. Your mother would want you to be okay. She must have seen this many times before. She asked, should we call anyone else? Your brother and sister will want to see her one last time, won't they? I had been in such a rush that I hadn't thought to call anyone. I'd assumed it would be another false alarm, like all the other times, that my mom would pull through. I never imagined she would just be gone. I took a few deep breaths, forcing myself to calm down, to pull myself together and deal with what was in front of me. My composure returned quickly. I decided to call the police and request an autopsy. I wasn't going to let a single one of those bastards get away with this. 2 days later, the autopsy was complete. My mother was transferred to the funeral home. I called my brother and sister to come help with the arrangements. I didn't notify anyone else from the Dalton or Reed families. No one else would care. My mother was despised and mistreated in life. I wouldn't let her be bothered by them in death. But at the funeral, the Daltons showed up anyway. The moment I saw the smug look on my father's lover's face, the smirk he couldn't suppress as he feigned respect, a firestorm of rage erupted inside me. Couldn't hold it back. In front of everyone, I lunged forward and kicked him hard, sending him flying. The crowd gasped in shock, and chaos erupted. "Ah, Leo Dalton, have you lost your mind?" After his lover cried out from the fall, my father, Frank Dalton, roared at me, looking like he wanted to tear me apart. I stared back at him, my voice ice cold and fearless. "My mother's car accident 5 years ago, that was his doing, and you were involved. Her sudden death this time? He arranged it, had her injected with something. Don't think I don't know. What nonsense are you spouting?" The guests started murmuring, their curiosity piqued. Frank shouted, trying to shut me down. My mother was the only thing holding me back. With her gone, I had nothing left to lose. A cold smile touched my lips. "Nonsense? Then what do you call his presence here?" I pointed at my father and his illegitimate daughter, Jasmine. "What is the meaning of your little family of 4 showing up today? Are you here to gloat or to provoke me?" In wealthy families, multiple partners and illegitimate children weren't uncommon. So Frank just snapped, "Have you made enough of a scene? Can't you show some decency? Do you have any idea where you are?" "Of course I know where I am. This is my mother's funeral. And if I don't get justice for her, I don't deserve to be her son. I'm afraid she won't be able to rest in peace." My eyes scanned the guests and landed on Isabella, who was staring at me in utter astonishment. I ignored her and continued with a mocking laugh. "And let me tell you all another secret."
Her, I pointed af Jasmine.
Jasmine Dalton had a heart transplant, and that heart was cut out of a living person. "What? No way, is that true? That's monstrous." Slap. The room erupted in a frenzy of whispers. Before I could finish, Frank rushed at me, his hand raised to strike, but my brother, Ben, caught his arm. Ben twisted it and slapped him back across the face, warning, "You touch my brother again, I dare you. The two of you, you ungrateful brats. Are you trying to start a rebellion?" Frank's face turned beet red with fury. He looked like he was about to have a stroke. Ben was taller and stronger than him. In a real fight, Frank didn't stand a chance. "Take this cheap hustler and the bastard kid he spawned and get out. Don't defile my mother's funeral. Otherwise, I have no problem making sure you leave here horizontally." As Ben spoke, he cracked his knuckles, his threat hanging heavy in the air. Frank had wanted to put on a show of family harmony, but my brother and I weren't playing along. "Frank, I'm hurt." His lover suddenly whimpered, looking frail. "My ankle hurts, my back. Please, take me to the hospital." Amidst all the pointing and whispering, Frank decided to cut his losses. He helped the man up and they made a swift exit, afraid that staying any longer would only lead to more of their dirty laundry being aired. Jasmine glared at us with dark eyes before turning to follow them, too ashamed to stay. "Why didn't you call me?" After the chaos subsided and some order was restored, Isabella came to my side, her fingers nervously twisting her prayer beads. "You're just a daughter-in-law in name only, and soon you won't even be that." "There was no need," I replied coolly, my eyes fixed on my mother's portrait. Isabella was so angry she was speechless, staring at me with clenched teeth. But in front of everyone, she held her tongue. The funeral soon concluded, and my mother was taken to the crematorium. While we waited for the ashes, a video of the fight at the funeral went viral. I had my people release it. I wanted the Dalton family name dragged through the mud. They deserved it. Along with the video, I released my mother's autopsy report, the original car accident report, and evidence of my father's lover hiring people to harm her. I even included the dark truth behind how Jasmine got her new heart. While the story was hot, I laid it all out for the public to judge, ensuring the Dalton name would be ruined and the family socially crucified. I own a digital tech company that I've been building quietly for years. By the time Frank Dalton realized what was happening and tried to do damage control, it was too late. The story had exploded online and was completely out of his control. Leo, does this mean we don't have a home anymore? My sister, Chloe, asked, her face full of sorrow. I looked away from my phone screen and said with forced confidence, "No. As long as I'm here, you'll always have a home. Now that Mom's gone, are you going to get a divorce?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "After how Ethan treated you, can you really let that go?" "No. No one is getting off easy. You're not going to get yourself dragged down with them, are you?" Chloe asked, her voice filled with worry. "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." "Okay, good," she said, and my firm answer seemed to put her at ease. After we collected the ashes, the three of us went back to my villa. We would choose an auspicious day to lay her to rest. As soon as we walked in the door, the housekeeper told us that Isabella and her mother were here. After she'd stormed out of the funeral home, I couldn't imagine what else they could possibly have to say. "How can you bring that into the house? It's such bad luck. You people have no sense. You could have just left it at the funeral home." Seeing my brother holding the urn and my sister holding the portrait, Isabella's mother complained with a frown, her face a mask of disgust. My face was a blank slate. "This is my house," I said bluntly. "I could turn this entire place into a mausoleum, and it would still be none of your business." Used to my usual meek demeanor, her mother flared up at my retort. "What kind of attitude is that? I'm giving you a friendly warning. If you're not going to be grateful, you don't have to be rude." Isabella was lounging on the sofa, legs crossed, as indifferent as ever. She just stared at me, twisting her prayer beads, saying nothing. "If you have something to say, say it. If not, please leave. I'm in no mood to entertain guests." I gave them a cold dismissal. Her mother grew even angrier. "Your mother passes away, you hold a funeral, and you don't notify the Reed family beforehand? Were you trying to embarrass us? To make us a laughingstock? The Reed family has plenty of embarrassing secrets, this is just one more. Besides, your daughter and I will be divorced soon. There's no need for us to be involved anymore." I ignored them and began clearing a space on the TV stand, telling my brother to place the urn there. "What did you say? You want a divorce?" her mother asked, her face a picture of disbelief. I turned and sat down, looking directly at Isabella. "Let's find some time to draw up the papers and get this divorce finalized. Your mother just passed away. I understand you're not in a good state of mind. You don't have to use divorce as an outlet. This is a bell you can't unring," Isabella said, her voice calm but laced with a warning. Yes, there's no need to talk about divorce so rashly," her mother chimed in eagerly. For her, business interests were all that mattered. "My mind is made up. This is a notification, not a game of hard to get, and it's not a tantrum. If you don't agree, I'll sue for divorce. And when that happens, don't blame me for being ruthless." My tone was firm, leaving no room for negotiation. "Is this because of Ethan and Cody?" Isabella asked, her expression as detached as ever, as if she had everything under control. "I told you they won't affect your position." "Ha!" I scoffed. "Is that so? I seem to recall the face you made a few days ago when you stormed in here and slapped me." "What? That bastard? You dared to hit my brother?" Ben, who had been quietly drinking water, shot to his feet, ready to fight. Chloe quickly pulled him back. "And you call yourself a fucking Buddhist? What kind of Buddhist slaps her own husband? How dare you speak like that? Such foul language," Isabella's mother scolded. This only made Ben angrier. "My language is foul? Why don't you teach your daughter some manners? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You call her a human being? Parading her lover and his bastard son around town without getting a divorce? What more does she want? Does she think my brother is a pushover? That he deserves to just shut up and take it? A person like her, fake selfish, has the gall to walk around with prayer beads, pretending to be some kind of saint. It's pathetic." Hitting a nerve, Isabella shot up, her voice sharp with fury. I never hid Ethan's existence from you. Not from the very beginning. What are you throwing a fit about now? You didn't hide him, no. But I never imagined you had so little integrity that you'd end up just like your mother. The two things I hate most in this world are mistresses and illegitimate children, especially when they're flaunted in front of the legal spouse. I'm not throwing a fit. My mother is gone. I have no reason to put up with it anymore. Is that clear? My words were merciless, each one a dagger to her pride. Isabella stood up abruptly, her jaw tight. You want a divorce? In your dreams. The only way you're leaving this marriage is in a coffin. With that, she walked around the coffee table and left, refusing to stay a moment longer. Just like always, when she couldn't win an argument, she ran. She knew she was wrong but would never change, always doing whatever she wanted. Even with all her praying and chanting, she still wanted everything. She wanted the husband from a respectable family, and she wanted the doting lover. The sheer audacity of it was astounding. Her mother, her face pale, turned to me. So, those videos online, that was your doing? You're trying to destroy the Dalton family? I didn't want to answer. I just said coldly, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. You should probably worry about yourself. She seemed to understand something. She grabbed her purse, stood up, and left without another question. What is wrong with these people? They're all garbage.
Ben Greenberg.
All right, let's go eat, I said, exhausted. I was too hungry and weary to think about anything else. Shouldn't we light some incense first? Chloe reminded me. We were new to all of this, inexperienced and unsure of the customs. In the end, we set up offerings in the living room, paid our respects, and then had dinner before getting ready for bed, putting everything else out of our minds for the night. The next morning, the stock for the Dalton family's company, Viridian Group, plummeted, hitting its daily limit down. That afternoon, my father's lover and Frank Dalton were both arrested. The stories about them had completely blown up online, along with the dark truth behind Jasmine's heart transplant. The topic stayed at the top of the trending lists, enraging the public, fueling their resentment of the rich, and making them hate the so-called privileges of the wealthy. The consensus online was that anything less than the death penalty would be a miscarriage of justice. By evening, the main Dalton residents, unable to reach me, sent people to drag me back after I ignored their repeated calls. When I walked in, my grandfather, grandmother, uncle, and aunt were all there, arranged as if for an inquisition. I had a feeling I wouldn't be walking out of this house easily. Crash! My grandfather was the first to lash out, throwing his teacup at me. You bastard! He roared. What the hell do you think you're doing? What good does it do you to ruin the Dalton family's name and cost us a fortune? I sidestepped the cup easily. No good at all, I replied casually. But I will avenge my mother. Dragging a few of her enemies down with her doesn't seem too excessive. Does it? They all stared at me, shocked that the once meek Leo could be so extreme. My uncle spoke up. You want revenge? But did you have to make it so public? If the Dalton family falls, your life with the Reeds won't be easy either. You should take those videos down now. If it was your mother who was murdered, would you just let it go and sweep it under the rug? I retorted sharply. Their faces darkened, but no one had a comeback. As long as the Dalton family stands, I can't get my revenge. You'd all protect Frank and his lover, and Jasmine too. Your wealth and power are the knives you point at the weak. Just like the owner of that heart inside Jasmine, a young woman in her 20s, hit by a car on her way home from work, who then had her heart cut out of her while she was still alive. For no reason she'd ever know. Tell me, who do she and her family turn to for justice? Is that fair? My grandfather's face grew pale. He clutched his chest, looking like he couldn't bear to hear it. I went on, you reap what you sow. You two old fools failed to raise your children properly, and you indirectly caused my mother's death. It's only fair that you suffer the consequences. All I did was expose the truth and let society judge the wicked. What's wrong with that? The family rises and falls together. What did we do wrong? My aunt snapped, her own interests now clearly at stake. You really did nothing wrong? I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. You and your mother tormented my mom endlessly. It was normal for you to forbid her, my siblings, and me from even eating at the main table. I leaned in with a playful, threatening tone. Oh, and by the way, I have some dirt on you, too. Be careful not to push me too far. I'd be happy to ruin your reputation and get you kicked out of high society. You've gone mad, haven't you? She stammered, suddenly panicked. My grandmother, who had always been sharp-tongued and cruel, stared at me as if I were already dead, her face a grim mask. I chuckled. Are you thinking about how much you want to kill me? Let me give you a piece of advice. If I die, what happens to the rest of you will be far, far worse. My grandmother's teeth clenched. I never realized we were raising an ungrateful snake, with no sense of family loyalty. She always had that high and mighty attitude, an absolute authority that could not be defied. As a child, I was terrified of her. But not anymore. I shot back without hesitation. A family with roots this rotten is just a plague on the world. What is there to be loyal to? Grandpa! Grandpa! My grandfather suddenly fainted from rage, throwing the room into chaos. My cousin immediately lifted him onto his back and rushed him out the door to the hospital, with the others scrambling to follow. My uncle gave me a look of pure hatred but said nothing as he left. I knew they could crush me if they wanted to, destroy my career, and force me to submit. But I was prepared. I never expected to walk away from this unscathed. A few days later, Jasmine Dalton died. She was stabbed by the father of the girl whose heart she had received. Ever since his daughter's death, the man had been living in a daze. He hadn't known the truth, but now he did. He got his revenge, and his conscience was finally clear. The hospital and doctors involved in that surgery were all put under investigation. No one would escape justice. To retaliate and ruin my name, my relatives used the media frenzy to spread all sorts of rumors, twisting the truth. They claimed my father and his lover were the true star-crossed lovers, torn apart by my mother's scheming. They also spread lies that I was a chip off the old block, that I too had used devious means to get ahead. They claimed that 7 years ago, to get Isabella, I had orchestrated the car accident that put her boyfriend in a coma, which was the only reason I got to marry her and become Mr. Dalton. When this fabricated story went viral and public opinion turned against me, Ethan, looking to deliver the final blow, used a friend's social media account to corroborate the lies. He claimed it was all true, that I had caused the crash, and that he was just lucky to have survived with a coma instead of dying. He even posted old photos from the accident and his hospital stay to make it look credible. This led to my personal information being doxed. A storm of online harassment followed, with vicious insults and curses flooding my social media and phone. It was vile. After letting the rumors ferment, I simply reported them to the police. Then I released all the dirt I had on them, including the time Ethan had drugged a wealthy socialite to sleep his way into her bed. As for Ethan, I was done holding back. I released the traffic cam footage from his accident years ago. The video clearly showed him in a heated argument with Isabella. It showed them fighting over the steering wheel, which caused the crash. Furthermore, other information revealed that the fight started because Isabella was trying to break up with him. It had nothing to do with me. I also leaked evidence of him knowingly being a homewrecker, having a child out of wedlock with his ex, and cheating on multiple partners. I wanted to make sure he could never recover, never strut around in front of me again.